Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Second cast of the afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't you excited? I sure as hell am. And the best thing is, you guys were so patient at the beginning of the last one, we don't need to faff around, so we can get straight into the action. It's going to take place on Twin Rivers. The players are ready, you guys are ready, I'm sure as hell ready. Let's head on over planetside and see how they're going to get on. Of course, Twin Rivers we're all very familiar with. Let's take a look at the players and their starting locations. Down here in the bottom left, going Ferrari Red Cybrin, it's Mr. Smith. And he is opening first land, throwing it down next to the Vex there for the adjacency bonus. All good. Being very nonchalant and cryptic with his build queue, mainly because he's writing stuff to his opponent. We can all forgive that. It's said something in German, I don't know, but apparently that's hilarious. And up here at the top right, in breast cancer awareness pink, it's BC's Captain Claugus also going Cybrin. So it's a mirror matchup, and he is opening first, second, and third land. See if we have a read on what's coming second from Mr. Smith's side of things. There it is. It is an air factory indeed, so if we're going to see any remotely early air coming out from anyone on this map, it is more than likely going to be Mr. Smith. Leading with engineer spam right off the bat. Nothing super aggressive coming out of Mr. Smith's corner. 1, 2, 3, 4 engineers, and then the first offensive unit, a Mantis, getting queued up there in the build order. So he's looking nice and expansionist. A slightly, ever so mildly more aggressive look there from Claugus. He's got a mole going out front, and is that going to be a lab? No, it's a Mantis, and that's assigned to protective duty. Going to be following that engineer on its merry little way, making sure nothing happens to it. It's always nice to have a fairy godmother Mantis. I don't know why they're female, but there you are. And there goes that air factory. What's going to be queued up first in the magical air factory? I wonder. Bomber, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 P-Gens in place. 7th going down now, so he should be running okay with power. No, he's not. He's actually finding slight difficulties. I guess he's expanding and building in lots of places, so not enough power to satisfy the construction there. He'll be suffering a slight mass penalty as a result. But that's quite an early position to get a bomber out. Minute 3, not looking too shabby. He can go engineer hunting now, and hopefully it'll slow Claugus up slightly. Claugus now pushing on the right-hand edge of the main land mass with a couple of Mantis and a mole and another Mantis further out as well. So it's a nice comprehensive spread he's got on that side. Let's slow things up. Couple of clumped engineers. Boom, baby! 2 engineers bite the dust. A lovely little bombing run there from Mr. Smith. Always nice to see. This forward Mantis there for Mr. Smith getting beat down from 2 opposing Mantis there. And now a little game of merry-go-round. Let's chase the Mantis ensues. Mantis runs for his life, but forward engineer there for Smith grabbing that mass. 2 of the transports scooped up. And I'm not sure, I should have been paying more attention, see who actually got that mass in the front. We can see who's doing better though in general. That might give us some clue. 1600 mass there for Smith and just 259 for Claugus, so you can bet that Smith got both sets of transports there on the central reservation. And meanwhile, a little bit of Mantis play stretching out in both directions. This Mantis on the right hand side on just 30 HP is looking very peaky indeed, with 1 Mantis chasing behind it. Meanwhile, over on this side, that second Mantis not looking so good, but will the lead Mantis manage to gun down this engineer? He's going to be searching for it, and as he sees the construction progress on that factory, he'll know exactly where the engineer is. Boom, he homes in on it and picks up the kill. So that at least hampers construction ever so slightly down there on the rear plateau for Mr. Smith. And that bomber, is that the same bomber that's still in play? 4 kills to his name. He's had some success, but that success is now over. Defending interceptor in place, manages to shoot that down, and that's from that forward position there. It's not looking too bad though on the factories. 1, 2, 3 land factories, soon to be 4 and 5 in place, plus an air factory. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Smith. So it's about the same, not too much in it. Meanwhile, a little bit of a run by down here. Well, you can't really call it a run by at the moment. There's nothing to run by, but These two Mantis have got into the back here. Very common route down that top riverbank. And have managed to pick up both Mexes just about. Defending Mantis turns up in time to swap one of them, but won't be so lucky on the second. Another one starting full bar. Don't have any trouble there at all. Scout planes out for Smith, still affording him some pretty good intel, as a posturing group of Mantis over on the right hand side for Claugus, trying to get a solution and entryway into either this group of mass points here, or better yet still into the back. But got to be really wary. Of course, there are defending Mantis all around this area for Smith, coupled with intel scouts. He has one of his own as well. That's of course how he knew where to go, and instantly homing in on what he suspected was an engineer. Genius, that is going to be a dead engineer, and no one will be putting up any monuments to him. Clearly a suicide mission. One engineer up there having a cup of tea, and onwards these Mantis push up front for Mr. Smith, trying a little bit of a counter push here. Not going to meet with great success. Claugus's ACU is in place, ready to knock those aside, plus a whole group of his own troops. But Claugus looking to cordon off this whole area. Doesn't want any run-bys coming down this river edge down here. He's going to throw down a huge wall section coming in right to here, and then that's a much more nice and defensible place. Collection of engineers at the back there for Mr. Smith accumulating, not currently assigned orders. You want to get on that ASAP. Taking a look at things though, neither guy's going for the side islands yet. 7 minutes gone. It's about that time they probably want to start thinking about it. Air Factory's paused there at the moment for Claugus, and Air Factory still producing interceptors for Smith, but definitely the sooner the better. Get in there, get established. Remember, that's 8 mass points in total on the 2 side islands collectively. Get in there, that's a lot of extra mass. But Claugus very far forward with his ACU, and quite cheeky, picking up mass points that arguably don't belong to him. Smith coming in to set the record straight on that one. Claugus not going to risk anything. Going to get tied up in that group of Mantis. It's easily enough to cause him some troubles. I'm wondering if these guys have access to overcharge yet. Claugus 4,000 doesn't, but he's also suffering terribly on power at the moment. Mr. Smith 4,000 as well doesn't either. It's rather unsurprising. These guys haven't needed to yet. But it is getting to that time in the game where it could start to become a very useful factor. It has been surprising me. I know it's a reasonably costly thing to get early on, the energy storage, but it seems like the higher level players are leaving it later and later, so keeping that mass for unit production upgrading, which makes sense, of course, if you don't need to use it. But it can be such a powerful weapon, especially early on. Of course, the troops tend to clump less early on, so you're not likely to grab quite so many triple, quadruple kills with your overcharge. But a nice little bombing run coming over the top of Claugus's formed up troops there, taking out quite a few of them, maybe about 6 or 7 Mantis that just ate dirt right there. And a bit of an attempt at a run by at the top, and Smith is also trying to seal off the river here with an engineer, and that's really unfortunate. He just needed a couple more wall sections to go to the edge, and stream of units going to turn up in time to ruin his day, and that will be an unsealed wall section there. Snow would be very, very unimpressed. Another attempt at a run by on the bottom river for Claugus, and he's managed to sneak past that forward group of Mantis. Smith is chasing. That's a lot of build capacity getting caught there. They do manage to spam up an auto gun just in the nick of time, suffering a couple of casualties, but that auto gun, slightly sexual in its nature. In case you weren't wondering, that was an official nerdgasm right there. And we have T2 NGs on the field. So it's a T2 land factory that Claugus has put in place. He's upgraded that, and that will give him a slight advantage. Not seeing any T2 on the field yet for Smith. And Smith running what looks on the face of it a slight, no, it suddenly jumps to 58 to 54. So it's very even on mass, fluctuating back and forth. Back and forth, goodness gracious me, I'll find the word eventually, back and forth between these two guys. But the key factor here is that Claugus is sitting on around 1500 mass reclaimed. Smith around 7,600, a colossal difference. And there just seems to be a lot more activity down here as well. But look, we do have a drop over on the bottom island. Claugus is the first to make a move to those side islands. Got a couple of NGs in place, a radar, a T1 land factory. That's going to be hard to dislodge now. There is a bomber posturing over the top for Smith. Now Smith going to make a little push of his own, and another very sexual autogun in place. There's a lot of that going around lately. That will turn up at just the right time, but the wall sections won't get finished. Coupled with the fact that there seems to be a couple of Medusas in that mix somewhere. Can't see them, but you can see the EMP going off, and whoa, that is quite the push from Smith. Claugus going to have to be careful here, but he's got enough PD in place. He's got a T1 at the front and a Cerberus back here, so suddenly that push not looking quite so dangerous as it did a moment ago. And now we're seeing some hoplites emerge as well as some bangers. T2 units looking dangerous, and Smith really wants to get something up here at the top island. He's not going to be able to dislodge this bottom one, but that's 4 free mass points up there that are absolutely begging for it. Of course, it's all very easy when you're sitting here watching the replay to be super clever and intelligent. Well, it's easy for you guys, it's a little bit harder for me, but we do have T2 in place now for Smith, and he's elected to go for T2 air instead of land. So looking to change the game up slightly, throwing down a TTP gen and queuing up a couple of more with its defending shield. 1k to 1.2k power, not a great deal of difference between these guys. T2 power in place for Claugus, second one going up as we speak. That would suggest there's probably a lot more T1 power dotted around the map for Smith, but Claugus's Hydro was actually never claimed. It's interesting stuff there. A couple of inties flying over the top there for Smith. He's going to finally see for certain that that island has not been claimed, and I'm hoping that's going to persuade him to go for it himself. Scout plane out for Claugus as well, going to search that top island at the same time. Could be a bit of a double rush between these two guys to see who can get their hands on it. Upgrade going on Claugus's comm. Let's take a look at what it is. T2 engineering suite. Let's just make sure that's all it was. Yes, it was. So that is the T2 engineering suite on his comm. That's going to add a fair old chunk of HP, take him up to 13,500. A little bit more sustain and durability up the front there. 13,500 as well for Smith. So we can see that he has the engineering suite as well. And now we're seeing some renegades on the field, going straight after this northern block of Mantis up here. A few interceptors coming in to defend there for Claugus. So the cat is out of the proverbial bag of that tech switch to air for Smith. And I'd say it's going to deal a critical blow. Those interceptors doing a pretty good job of mopping up those renegades. And now, of course, some bangers on the field as well for Claugus. It's going to make life very difficult indeed for those renegades. But Smith's going to follow this up with a little bit of a Mantis push. Bearing down, going straight after that banger. Wants to take that out of the commission, and you can't blame him. The Cerberus turret's back here, knocking these out at range, and another one being spammed up awfully quickly there. And those Mantis are going to turn tail and run. away they go, or away they should go. Again, they get another move command. They do manage to pick up at least one mechs out of that. 81 to 91 and then 78 to 83. Huge amount of fluctuation, but a very cheeky little drop in the back here from the skyhook for Claugus. Has taken down one mechs already. And you can see the variation on firing regularity. God damn it. I'll get my coat on that Medusa. Doesn't manage to finish off that mech's 15 hit points left. But, Smith comes in, mops that up with the Mantis. Always good to see. And a couple of engineers made their way over here and throwing a factory together with some range building up on the cliff and immediately starting to produce engineers out of it. So not before time there, Mr. Smith, but still he's got there before Claugus. And if he can hold that island, that should set him in pretty good stead. He's, like I say, way ahead of the game. On reclaim, actually, Claugus has caught up. He has been way ahead of him, but now there's just what looks like 2,000 odd mass in it. Not a great deal. So nice work there, and it's down to this group of engineers reclaiming that wreck field after that last incursion from Smith. Got beat down by all those Cerberus turrets. Smith just chilling under his shield. And we do have T2 land finally from Smith as well, nice and close to the front lines. And a build-up of Corsairs. I wonder if we're seeing the makings of a potential snipe attempt here as we approach the 20-minute mark in this game. But suddenly this game's got very static indeed. Both these guys, liberal use of wall sections, really cutting down the options for their opponents. Run-by's just not on the cards. And with that in mind, it's kind of surprising that the side islands haven't had more action. But there you are. Each game is unique, is what's so wonderful about this game. Chime in, StarCraft players. Our game's unique too. No, it's not. I kid. It's all gravy. But yeah, these guys just happy to sit and camp for the moment. Not going to press, they're going to tech, they're going to eco, and they're going to go to T3, or at least Claugus has that factory in place, and he's spamming out loyalists as quickly as he can. And also T3 in place there for Smith, so he's gone straight to T3, hasn't bothered producing any T2 units from there at all, but he's working on trebuchets, and that kind of makes sense when you think of the static nature of this game. If he can knock out the front lines, or at least harass them a little bit, could cause serious problems. But a beautiful first artillery shell there to welcome them onto the field. Takes out a good 9 units or so. Group of T1 bombers as well. T1 bombers and Corsairs growing in number, and now we've got a little bit of a drop up the top from Claugus. He's going to throw 3 engineers at the problem up here, and immediately going to queue up a couple of land factories. If he gets both of those down, and PD and a radar, if he gets that in place, if he's allowed to, that could cause problems up top island there for Smith. Trebuchets nestling in against the central reservation. They're going to lay fire down on this forward position that actually has a couple of attack missile launchers in place. 3 or 4 missiles in it. I'm surprised he doesn't just launch one at the trebuchets if it would get there. That central reservation is pretty high. It would probably more than likely impact on the wall of that, but it'd be worth a shot. Just going to lose them otherwise. That first shield down. And that has prompted a response from Claugus, who's going to test the water with a little bit of an incursion here. We're now seeing some bricks on the field, though, for Smith. He needs to be careful, doesn't want to throw this away and open the door to potential counter-attack. from Smith. And wisely thinking twice about it, he's going to reposition himself further back. I don't think there's any room to maneuver with what he's got there. He's got the odd loyalist in the mix, but now there are bricks on the scene. He's going to have to find bricks of his own. But this side of the map not looking particularly heavily defended. And they're going to start pummeling these wall sections, burrow their way through them, and Smith's going to have to be careful here. And he's going to try and sandwich some of those troops up against that wall sections, and a bunch of the wall sections have fallen, opening a gateway should they decide to descend through it, but instead they are moving down onto the beach. Now, I don't know whether that's just a click down here on the next wall section and it's dragged them all down by mistake or not. But look at this, bricks boldly marching out front there for Clorgus, causing all kinds of carnage. Not Clorgus, in fact, for Smith. Get the names right, it's late, give me a break. Odd brick emerging there for Clorgus now, but it's not going to be enough. Deciding to counter-attack, needs to take some of these bricks out of commission, doesn't want Smith to gain a critical mass of them, which he could use to punch through the front lines there. Corsairs now circling above for Smith, not for any one particular target, seeming more so like they're going after easy kills, mexes, Cerberus turrets, key strategic points, so they can weaken all of this and maybe potentially open the floodgates for a proper ground offensive. And now a couple of bricks making their way in. Just a couple of shots needed on the Cerberus turret up here. 337 HP. Won't last too long under brick fire. There goes one of them. See how feeble those PDs are against the heavier units, the bricks, the Percivals in this game. Now a large push coming from both sides. A few vulnerable factories here about to get picked off. The Cerberus turrets primaried. They are now out of commission. Free reign on these three factories. Air factory down, and he decides to back up. These Cerberus turrets far too heavily defended under all this shield cover, and more going up all the time there for Clorgus. Wise decision for Smith. And once again, the attack peters out, but look at this. Clorgus, two factories in place, large air engagement over the top, and a bunch of Mantis pushing in to finish off this position from Smith. So it's a nice response there from Clorgus, who's looking pretty darn good on eco. 173 to 133. 12,000 mass reclaimed for Smith and 17,000 for Clorgus. So Clorgus is looking pretty good right now in every front except the combat that's happening on the central reservation. Smith is dealing out all kinds of hurt, and that's a lot of trebuchets he's using to push back these defenses and gain territory. He's skirmishing with the artillery, then going in with the bricks, skirmishing in the air, then coming in with the bricks. Beautiful to see. Renegades now on the field once again for Smith. Going to work on these factories, and that looks like it's not going to be a hold. There's far too much air in here for Clorgus to be able to deal with. He's not going to get involved with it. He's satisfied with the fact that he's knocked out those mexes and that factory. Or has he knocked out that factory? That's actually still in place. Might as well get those units involved. There's no point in holding on to them, really. I think those Renegades are going to finish them off first, however. But look at how peppered the landscape is with T3 artillery fire. That's almost all coming from Smith's side of the field. All of those defenses absolutely shattered. And at the moment, Clorgus, despite out-ecoing his opponent and out-reclaiming him, not really finding an answer here, but bricks have made their way in the back here. Nice drop there from that Dragonfly. And suddenly the mechs is on the rear plateau for Claugus, looking like they're going to be under pressure. Claugus drops in a couple of bricks of his own, not going to save the radar. It's going to be a tough call whether he's going to save all the mechs as well. He's going to win that battle though, getting the first few shots off, or at least he should do. One brick down. And will Smith alter the fire to go after the mechs now that he's in range? That's the question. He's not going to win that battle. He's trying to get out of range for the moment. There he goes. Picks up the transport kill as he drifted out of visual range from that brick. But bearing down on this factory at the edge here, there's also a T2 mech who get in behind this mound, and that's poor work from Claugus not chasing him down there. He would definitely have killed that off, and now that factory and that mech's under pressure. Another drop up here at the top edge by Smith. Two more mechs is under threat, so Smith doing some fantastic work here with the drops. Still 3 mechs is down at the back. I'm not sure if that's from earlier or it's something I missed. And we've got T3 air on the field as well, a Revenant in place, a Strat Bomber. And Smith has advanced with his comm. He's built a couple more shields and a stealth gen. This is going to be a really nasty little fire base now. It's going to be tough to knock out those trebuchets. They looks like they've suffered a couple of casualties. You can see one artillery mark there. I assume that was a counter artillery from Claugus. But these renegades, Claugus has no answer for them right now. Smith going around the map with impunity and just pummeling all these mexes. Immediately tracers being spammed up here by all this build capacity. Can take out that T3 mechs, that would be quite the coup, but he's not going to manage it. That survives on 1500 HP. And now with ASFs in the field, there is no chance of Claugus getting back into the air game. At least I don't think so. Having said that, he's in place with his own ASFs, I guess, or sorry, in place with his own T3 factory. It looks like he's starting to produce ASFs. I'm guessing it's going to be too late. And 22 kills on that brick. That's still alive. That's unreal. Took out the factory and that mechs. It might even been responsible for finishing off all the rearguard mechs, though that's probably, in hindsight thinking about it, more than likely the renegades. And I can't believe how Smith has dominated play despite running the deficit he was running at. He still hasn't even managed to take the mechs at the top. But to be fair, he hasn't needed them, and now we have strats on the field. What is their target is the question. Looks like they're beelining for the commander. Going to at least start putting some damage on those shields. The shields collapse. So if the trebuchets can land some shells in here, that's a ton of TAC missiles. So clearly a TAC missile snipe attempt going for Smith's comm. I can think of no other reason why you would spend that much eco on it. He knew the game was over, but look at that. Another volley from the strats, and that option is now out of the window, and that looks like TAC missiles coming from Smith's side of things as well. There we go, TAC missile launchers. What are they going for? Going after the power. It's a bad place to stand. Claugus takes a little bit of a volatility fire, bit of volatility damage. And this will be no problems for Claugus to get broken here. No problems for Smith to break. Claugus has one last play. He's managed to complete a Monkey Lord. What can he do with it? The problem is there are so many bricks on the field now. He's going to have incredible micro to pull this off. Where's he heading? He's heading over this side. Clearly wants to finish this with a com kill as quickly as possible, but that's so much T3. If it was a GC or something, you'd think, not so bad, but 45,000 HP, not a lot. One of the weakest experimentals. That is why it is so cheap. And Smith, well aware of what's going on. He's trying to add a few defenses. That was actually a Gunther that was running up. He's going to evac though, I think. He's got his bricks under as much shield cover as he can. But I don't think he can sit in there. He's got to advance and start putting damage on that. And look at the HP just fall off the Monkey Lord. It starts working on those loyalists first, and then gets very cross with that patch of ground, and then decides to go after some more units. He's trying to micro a little bit to promote some missed shots from the bricks, but it's not enough. And that's surely game for Smith. He's got far too much on the field. Claugus, perhaps if he'd have been able to get these units together and send them in front of the brick, he might have been able to break that front. Send them in front of the Monkey Lord, rather. Forgive me, it's late. I don't even know my name anymore. Claugus throwing together Cerberus turrets, trying to keep these bricks out as they chew their way through the wall sections. More auto guns being deployed by the build capacity closer to the river on this side. That's going to be able to deal with the T1 perfectly well, and if the bricks get too close, of course, that will be decent enough assistance there. But the Revenants are growing in number once again. 37 minutes gone in this game, and you get the impression there's not going to be a lot left to it. August needs to march in here and start overcharging. Nice overcharge, knocks out one, nearly kills another, but it soon gets dispatched anyway. And Claugus getting primary pretty hard, down to 5,000, 4,000. Rank of veterancy up there, very nice grab indeed. Gets down into the red, 2,000, but in come the Revenants going straight for the com kill. He gets inside the shield collapses, he's taking more fire, boom baby! And that is a win for Smith in minute 38, beautiful grab there. And what a game. I'm not sure how Claugus managed to lose that. I don't really think Claugus lost it. I think Smith won it. He just played very nicely indeed. Those trebuchets worked absolute wonders, demolishing that front line, and a lot of mass and energy went into setting up those defenses around here. And Smith gobbled that up with just a handful of trebuchets. Very nice work indeed. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoy that. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.